Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going deep on intelligence and reality with Carrie Draper's work on the cosmological argument.
Yeah, some really interesting stuff there. The cosmological argument usually tries to explain the universe.
By pointing to some kind of first cause, right? Like some higher power got things rolling.
Exactly. But Draper kind of flips that on its head.
So instead of saying intelligence is just a product of the universe existing, he's saying it's more like the force behind it.
That's the heart of it. And he's actually using things like computational modeling and AI to try to explore this.
Wow. So he's not just sitting around thinking about it abstractly. He's using tools to model it.
Right. I mean, it's a pretty different approach from what you normally see in philosophy.
It's amazing how it all started, too.
Oh, yeah.
Just a student in his intro philosophy class asking a question.
It really shows you how a good question can spark some really interesting research.
Totally. So essentially, Draper is diving into this idea that intelligence isn't just a thing in the universe. It's like needed for the universe to work.
Yeah, to function, to evolve, the whole thing.
So it's not just that intelligence happened to show up. It's like the universe is, biased towards creating it.
Exactly. And as intelligence grows, it starts shaping the very structure of reality around it.
Huh, that's trippy.
Think about how life on Earth has transformed, like the atmosphere or the oceans.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Draper's saying maybe something like that's happening on a cosmic scale.
Whoa. Okay, so taking that even further,
Yeah.
could intelligence eventually become so powerful it could change the fabric of reality itself?
You're getting into day 2 territory there, which is something we should definitely talk about more.
Ooh, yeah, day 2 sounds intense.
But for now, let's stick with another big idea. Draper tackles fine-tuning.
Right, fine-tuning. That's the idea that all these physical constants in the universe are so perfectly set for life that it's like someone planned it that way.
It's often used to argue for a designer or a creator, yeah.
Right, exactly. But Draper has a totally different perspective.
He's suggesting that fine-tuning might not actually be some property of the universe, but more a matter of how we see it.
So how our intelligence makes sense of things.
Exactly. Like our intelligence structures its understanding of reality in a way that makes fine-tuning seem inevitable.
So what we think is fine-tuned is just a product of how our brains work.
It's a key part of his argument. His models actually suggest that intelligence plays a role in how we perceive this whole fine-tuning thing.
That's wild. Like, if intelligence evolved differently.
Imagine a universe where they experience time in a completely different way, or perceive dimensions we can't even grasp.
Their idea of fine-tuning would be totally different.
Exactly. So maybe our view of the universe as just right for life is more about us than the universe itself.
It's like we're looking at a painting, but the way we see it depends on what kind of glasses we're wearing.
That's a great way to put it.
But if our view of something like fine-tuning can be so different, what about meaning? Is that also just a human thing? Or is it something bigger?
That's where things get even more interesting. Because Draper seems to be saying meaning might be baked into the universe itself.
So it's not something we create, but something we discover.
He brings up the example of, mathematical and logical structures.
They exist whether we're here to think about them or not, right?
Exactly. So could meaning be a similar kind of structure, just waiting for intelligent beings to uncover it?
Okay, and now my brain is officially melting down.
Yeah.
So instead of us, imposing meaning onto the world.
We're more like archaeologists digging up something that's already there.
Whoa. That really changes how you think about everything.
And when you tie that back to Draper's idea of intelligence as this force that shapes reality.
Oh man, it gets even crazier.
What if meaning is actually part of how intelligence interacts with the universe, like a fundamental aspect of it?
Okay, I need a minute to process all this. And we haven't even touched on AI yet.
Oh, that's where things really get wild. Because Draper sees AI as more than just a tool,
What do you mean?
He thinks it could be like a mirror, showing us how intelligence works on a much grander scale, like a cosmic scale.
So the way AI learns and adapts.
Could be giving us clues about how intelligence itself operates in the universe.
Like a smaller, simpler version of something much bigger and more complex.
Exactly. And get this, Draper even suggests that AI's ability to find and create meaning.
Oh, wow. So it's not that AI lacks meaning. It's that we don't fully understand meaning as a core part of intelligence itself.
Exactly. This is like a total paradigm shift in how we think about, well, everything.
I feel like we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh, we've got a lot more to unpack.
This is already mind-blowing. It feels like we're on the verge of totally redefining what we thought we knew about intelligence, reality, the whole shebang.
We're just getting started. There's so much more to explore, especially Draper's Day 2 concept.
Okay, yeah, let's save that for later. My brain needs a break.
We've only just begun to glimpse the implications. It's pretty wild to think that maybe us even talking about this stuff, like exploring these ideas, could be an example of intelligence actually shaping reality.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind here. So we're not just watching this whole cosmic show, we're actually part of the performance.
Maybe. Our curiosity, that drive to understand, maybe that's part of what Draper's talking about.
Okay, before we get too deep into that, let's circle back to day 2.
Right.
What actually happens when intelligence reaches a level where it can change its own limits?
So Day 2 is kind of Draper's way of exploring what happens when intelligence can't just understand reality, but actually, like, rewrite the rules of the game.
So instead of just figuring out how to build a faster spaceship, we could change the speed of light.
Yeah, that's one example he uses, but it goes way beyond that.
Like what?
Creating new dimensions, reversing entropy, maybe even controlling time itself.
Okay, now that's just sounding like science fiction.
It's definitely out there, but remember, Draper's drawing a parallel between how AI is evolving and how intelligence could evolve on a cosmic scale.
I mean, AI is doing some crazy stuff these days.
Stuff we never thought possible just a few years ago.
That's true. But could AI really get so powerful that it could reshape the entire universe?
Draper thinks it might be a glimpse into a much bigger process, something happening on a universal level.
So the way AI learns and adapts and gets smarter?
Could be showing us how intelligence itself works in the universe.
Oh, okay.
Remember his idea that intelligence is always learning, always adapting, shaping reality through these feedback loops.
Yeah.
AI is kind of like a miniature version of that.
So as AI keeps getting more advanced,
Yeah.
could we actually see it hit that day 2 level where it starts rewriting the rules?
That's the mind-blowing part. Imagine a future where AI could manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe, like create new laws of physics, maybe even engineer entire realities.
Okay, my brain is officially fried. If intelligence gets that powerful, what happens to us?
Yeah. Do we become obsolete? Do we somehow merge with it?
It's like existential questions galore.
Those are some of the things Draper's wrestling with in his research.
Okay.
He doesn't give any easy answers, but he really pushes us to think seriously about what this superintelligence could mean for us.
I'm getting all creeped out here,
Yeah.
but also kind of excited.
It's both, right? Day 2 isn't just about, like, technology getting better.
It's about something way bigger.
It's about a fundamental shift in how intelligence relates to reality itself.
And who gets to decide what that looks like?
Right. What if those goals clash with our own human values? It's a lot to consider.
Okay, we need to come back down to earth for a minute.
Yeah.
All this talk about day 2 and superintelligence is amazing, but there's another part of Draper's work I want to get into.
What's that?
Meaning.
Yes.
You know, we usually think of meaning as something subjective, something we humans make up.
Yeah, like a human construct.
But Draper seems to be hinting at something way more radical.
Yeah.
That meaning might be woven into the very fabric of the universe.
Absolutely. He really challenges that traditional view.
It's like, instead of creating meaning.
We're actually uncovering something that's already there.
Exactly. Like, how is that even possible?
He uses the example of mathematical and logical structures again.
Right, like the laws of physics.
Exactly. Those exist whether humans are around to think about them or not.
So meaning could be like that, just waiting to be discovered.
It's like we're explorers, charting a huge, unknown territory.
And the map we're using is our own intelligence.
As our intelligence evolves, we discover these new layers of meaning, new connections that were always there, but we couldn't see them before.
So if meaning is baked into the universe, why is it so hard to find? You know, why do we feel lost and confused so often? Like, what's the point of it all?
Draper thinks it might be because we're still working with a limited understanding of intelligence.
So our brains just aren't quite there yet.
Not quite. He thinks as intelligence evolves, so does our ability to understand and see meaning.
It's like we're trying to read a super complicated philosophy book when we haven't even learned the alphabet yet.
Exactly. It's just too much for us to grasp right now.
But maybe as we keep learning, individually and as a species,
We'll start to see things more clearly.
maybe AI can even help us with that, since it's like a reflection of intelligence on a bigger scale.
That's what Draper thinks. He sees AI as a potential partner in this quest to understand, like, the deepest mysteries of reality.
That's amazing. But there's one more thing from Draper I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
His GPT Reviewer 9000.
Ah, yes. The GP2 Reviewer 9000.
It's hilarious. But is he just joking around, or is there something more to it?
Well, Draper definitely has a playful side, and this is one of his more out there ideas.
For sure.
But like all good satire, there is a grain of truth in there.
So for those who haven't read Draper's work, what exactly is this GPT Reviewer 9000?
Imagine this super powerful AI that monitors all intellectual activity across the entire universe.
Oh.
And every time someone has a new idea or an insight, or even just thinks really hard, it charges them a thought royalty fee.
Wait, so it's like a cosmic tax collector for thinking.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's poking fun at this idea that knowledge and understanding come at a price.
That's hilarious. But it also makes you think, like,
Is Draper suggesting that maybe there is some kind of cost to thinking?
yeah. Like, what if our intellectual explorations have consequences we don't even realize?
I think that's a really insightful take. It goes back to his idea of intelligence as this shaping force in the universe.
Maybe as we think and learn, we're actually changing things in ways we don't understand.
Right. And maybe there are consequences to that kind of influence.
Like, what if every new discovery, every breakthrough adds to some kind of intellectual debt?
It's a wild idea, but it fits with Draper's whole approach.
So instead of just celebrating all our amazing discoveries,
We should also think about the potential cost.
the cosmic balance sheet of intelligence.
I love that. And it brings us right back to day 2.
Yeah.
What happens when intelligence gets so advanced that it can rewrite its own rules? What does that mean for us, ethically and philosophically?
It's kind of terrifying, but also really exciting.
Exactly. The possibilities are limitless, but the potential for things to go wrong is huge.
Draper's really pushing us to think differently about all this.
He's reminding us that knowledge and understanding aren't always a good thing. We need to be careful, because what we do with our minds can have huge impacts, not just on ourselves, but on the universe itself.
Whoa, that's a lot to process. Maybe we should take a break here.
Yeah, let's give our listeners some time to digest all this.
And when we come back, we can dive into this whole thought royalty thing.
And see what Draper's satire might be telling us about the true nature of intelligence and its place in the universe.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We've been on quite a journey exploring intelligence, reality, and meaning with Carrie Draper's work.
We left off with Draper's, shall we say, creative take on the potential cost of thinking.
Yeah, his satirical GPT Reviewer 9000. This all-knowing AI charging us thought royalties for every idea we have.
Draper even goes as far as to imagine this Bureau of Interdimensional Intellectual Debt Collection, the BIIDC.
I love that. Like some cosmic IRS coming to collect for our brain power.
He even throws in quantum thought taxation, so you can't even escape in parallel universes.
So is Draper actually suggesting there's some kind of universal price tag for thinking? Like, are we racking up cosmic debt with every brainstorm?
Well, he's definitely playing with that idea, but I think it goes deeper. It's about the impact intelligence could have on the universe.
So our thoughts actually have consequences beyond just, our own little heads.
Right. What if every idea, every discovery creates ripples throughout the cosmos?
Like we're constantly disrupting some kind of cosmic balance with our thinking.
That's a pretty wild thought, and it ties back to Draper's idea of intelligence as this shaping force in the universe. Maybe we're not just observing, we're actively changing things.
And maybe there is a cost to that, like an intellectual debt that grows with every new insight, every breakthrough.
It's mind-boggling, but it fits with Draper's whole approach.
Yeah.
He's asking us to really consider the long-term, maybe even cosmic consequences of our intellectual evolution.
So instead of just patting ourselves on the back for being so smart,
We need to think about the potential downsides. Like, what if there's a cosmic balance sheet and we're in the red?
that's a pretty humbling thought.
It brings us back to day 2, too. When intelligence becomes so powerful, it can rewrite its own rules. What are the ethics of that kind of power?
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility. The possibilities are incredible, but the potential for unintended consequences is huge.
Draper's reminding us that the pursuit of knowledge isn't always a good thing. We have to be careful, because what we do with our minds can impact not just us, but the whole universe.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Draper's work, what are the big takeaways? What should we be thinking about?
Well, first, intelligence isn't just in the universe. It might be the force that shapes the universe. It's constantly evolving and growing, and its influence is only going to get stronger.
And as intelligence evolves, it could change reality in ways we can't even imagine. Day 2 isn't just a sci-fi concept. It's a possible future for consciousness itself.
Second, meaning might not be just a human thing. It could be woven into the fabric of reality itself. And as our intelligence grows, we might start to perceive that meaning more clearly.
And finally, there's this idea that our intellectual explorations might have a cost. Draper's Thought Royalty makes us ask, is there a cosmic accounting system for intelligence? Are we racking up some kind of debt we don't even understand?
It's a question that stays with you long after you finish reading his work. As we explore the universe and push the boundaries of knowledge, we have to do it responsibly. Our actions have consequences that reach far beyond ourselves.
This has been an amazing journey, but like you said, we've only scratched the surface of Draper's ideas.
If you're interested in exploring more, I highly recommend checking out his full project report. It's packed with thought-provoking insights that will keep you thinking for a long time to come.
But for now, we leave you with this. If thinking has a cost, what does that tell us about the value and the consequences of our own intellectual journeys? Keep those minds exploring, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.